easier path for him, but he knew he had to speak out. He went on to help President Trump and Ohio's own J.D. Vance get elected President of the United States and Vice President, so that's a pretty exciting thing as well. Folks, Vivek Ramaswamy has a vision for Ohio, and you're going to hear it in just a second, but this is not an easy kick up your feet, take it easy kind of a vision. This is a roll up your sleeves, work hard kind of vision because he knows that Ohio can do it. He wants to transform Ohio into truly a state of excellence. And so I have a couple questions for you all. Do you think that Ohio's best days are ahead? Is it conservative leadership that can help us get that done? Will it take a governor with energy and passion to make that happen? Well then, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the man that is going to do just that. Ladies and gentlemen, the next governor of the state of Ohio, my friend, Vivek Ramaswamy.
Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Bed.
Good to see you. Thank you. Well done for Rodney, too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Give that man another round of applause. He's been a great Secretary of State, and I think he's going to make an even greater auditor. So thank you, Frank. It was an honor to be introduced that way. And I got to say, today, as I was hearing Frank tell that story, it's Robert Sprague's birthday and Frank LaRose's birthday on the same day, which is the day that officially the American Revolution actually started. It reminds me of, I didn't know that before tonight, so happy birthday, guys. I really mean that. Robert, you've done a great job, and you'll be a great next Secretary of State, too, so I'm looking forward to that. It reminds me of a story from our own founding. There were two men who were both born on July 4th. And in 1776, that was the date that we declared independence as a country. And those two men, 50 years later, they sparred. And I'm not going to get into maybe a rivalry that may or may not exist between Robert or Frank, but they're a friendly collaboration, just like two men named Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, who ended up, you can't make this stuff up, both of them not only had the same birthday on July 4th, 1776, but 50 years later, on the 50th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 1826, both men died on that same day as well. So these are the stories of American history, and in some ways I want to see you channel that spirit for the state of Ohio as two great leaders who are going to lead Ohio to our best days ahead. Both of you, along with Christina Rogner sitting right next to you. We're blessed with some great leaders in this state, and we're going to talk tonight about how we believe our best days are still ahead of us, too. You know, if we came here, I've been to this part of the state several times over. It's a little different than when we came here a few years ago. A few years ago, under the Biden years, we were going through a national identity crisis as a nation. Faith in God, patriotism, hard work, family had all but disappeared in so much of our country. Our young people were going through a crisis of purpose and meaning and identity, longing to be part of something bigger, and yet so many couldn't even answer what it meant to be an American. In the Biden years, we had a 25% recruitment deficit in the U.S. military, and less than 16% of Gen Z said they were even proud to be American. And in November, we got it right for the country. It was a fork in the road for our future. We sent Kamala Harris and Joe Biden packing and re-elected Donald Trump as our 47th president of the United States of America. With your help, thank you for that. Scioto County turned up big. And now I do believe that we're on the cusp of a new golden era, a new golden age, a new renaissance for the United States of America, a revival of conviction in what it means to be a citizen of this nation. What does it mean to be a citizen of America in the United States in the year 2025? It means we believe in those ideals of 1776. It means we believe in meritocracy and hard work and the pursuit of excellence. That you do get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. And that's why we're done with the woke DEI regime of yesterday. We're done with affirmative action. Back to meritocracy in the United States of America. It means we believe in the rule of law. And I say this as the proud son of legal immigrants who came to Cincinnati, Ohio 45 years ago with no money. As somebody who's lived the American dream as the son of those legal immigrants. That also means that your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. And that is why if we've had the largest influx of illegals in American history, we ought to have the largest mass deportation in American history. That's not racist or xenophobic. That is what it means to stand for the rule of law in the United States of America. It means the people we elect to run the government ought to be the ones who actually make the laws, not unelected bureaucrats in three-letter agencies in Washington, D.C. or Columbus, Ohio. We believe in accountability. We believe in an elected democracy that's the foundation of our constitutional republic. It means we believe in free speech and open debate, that you get to speak your mind openly, that those protesters outside, they get to speak their mind openly. As long as we get to in return, that the government doesn't stop you from being able to speak, that you don't have to choose between speaking your mind freely and putting food on the dinner table, that you don't have to choose between the First Amendment and the American dream, because we are the nation where you get to enjoy both of those things at the same time. What does it mean to be a citizen of this nation? It means that we as Americans are brave, that we're courageous, that we're, when called upon, even heroic, to do what is right for our country in our hour of need. That's what our founding fathers fought that revolution for, starting on July 4th, 1776. That's what Donald Trump is aiming to bring back as our 47th president. And that is what I want to revive, the spirit that I want to revive right here in our own home state of Ohio. Because this isn't going to be a one-man job. It doesn't work that way. If we're going to be saved as a country, and nobody embodied this spirit better than Rodney Barnett right here, who we honor tonight, a man who cared more than anybody I know about the children and the future of the next generation of this state, a man who I spoke to just a matter of weeks ago. It was probably a month and a half ago when I last spoke to him. In honor of him, a man who cares about the next generation of this country, we have to look ourselves in the mirror and say, how are we going to honor the legacy of our founding fathers? Tonight, how are we going to honor Rodney's legacy? It's by all of us looking in the mirror and asking ourselves, what role are you going to play, are we going to play in leading our country back to greatness? It's not just Donald Trump's job. He's going to do his part, but it's up to us to now do ours. And that starts with the states. It starts with a return of power back to the people, to the states where it belongs. The golden age for America will be a golden age for federalism, as our founding fathers envisioned it. That's the way we're going to save our country in the next chapter. Thank you. And that is where we here in Ohio have a chance to lead the way. Not just to follow Texas or Florida, states I love, but now for Ohio to actually lead the way. To that end, actually, I want to say we're actually honored tonight. We have a few of my good friends joining us from Texas who flew here. Doug Deason's my good friend who joined me, but he's married to Jackie Deason, who flew here from Texas tonight to her hometown right here. She grew up right here as the daughter of Greater Portsmouth, Ohio. Thank you, Jackie, for coming back home tonight. And I recognize sitting right next to you, Betty, and your grandson, Nick, right there next to you as well, who is staying right here. You're a linesman, right here, soon to be here in Ohio, Nick, 23-year-old. My job is to make sure your generation is able to thrive right here in our own home state. And I know that your aunt is in Texas. She's visiting us today. But our job is to make sure it's not just Texas leading the way, that it's Ohio leading the way. I don't want to just lead Ohio to be one of the better states in the Midwest, because frankly, we are one of the better states in the Midwest, and we should be proud of that. But we should aspire to greater. We're a great state, but great is not good enough. I want to lead Ohio to be the top state in the country when it comes to raising a young family, generating wealth and keeping that wealth, and giving our kids a world-class education right here in Ohio. I want to lead Ohio to be the state where we teach our kids not to be victims, but to be victors in a competitive global economy, where we embrace meritocracy and capitalism instead of apologizing for it. The state where we take a hatchet to red tape and government overregulation and bureaucracy. The state where we lead in the sectors of the future, from AI to aerospace to semiconductor production to advanced manufacturing. I want Ohio to be the state of excellence in the United States of America. There are those who will say that's unrealistic. How could we here in Ohio be that state? You know, young people on the internet, right? People in your generation, Nick, you'll know this, have a meme on the internet for the last few years where if something's a little bit old or out of touch, they'll say on TikTok, only in Ohio. I'll tell you the truth, that irritates me. Because it wasn't long ago that people weren't making fun of Ohio. They were aspiring to be Ohio. You see, at the turn of the last century, we were the wealthiest state in the Union, the third most populous state in America, an economic powerhouse at the heart of the country, including the part of the state where we are right now, an economic leader that led the first industrial revolution with fertile farmland, great natural resources underneath our ground. Even in the 1950s, that's not that long ago, if you think about it. Even in the 1950s, 6 of the top 15 wealthiest cities in America were right here at home in Ohio. Toledo, where I was a couple nights ago. Toledo was the glass capital of the world. Akron was the rubber capital. Youngstown and Cleveland were jointly the steel capitals of the world. Dayton, close to where I grew up, was the computing power engine for that industrial revolution. My hometown of Cincinnati, right west up here of the Ohio River, was known around the world as the Queen City, the consumer products capital of the West. We were the pioneers, the explorers, the unafraid, the people who no bureaucracy or government would dare stop from achieving the maximum of our potential. And that's what gave our young people the self-confidence to achieve the impossible, and it was the impossible. The state of Neil Armstrong becoming the first man to walk on the moon in human history, born, raised, living right here in Ohio as he did it. The state of John Glenn, the first American to go into orbit. The state of the Wright brothers who took flight, growing up in Dayton, Ohio, gaining that self-confidence to do what everyone had told them was impossible. That's who we are. We were the state of excellence in America. And I believe deep in my bones we can be that state again, because we have every gift we did the first time around. The same fertile farmland, the same natural resources, including natural gas, which we now know is even more valuable. We have it right underneath our ground just east of where we are today. The same great hard-working people, that culture in Ohio, the same great geographic location, the same Ohio River to the Mississippi, the same Erie Canal to New York City. 60% of North America's population. Think about that, not just America's population. 60% of North America's population within a single day's drive of where we're sitting right now. God has blessed our state with every gift we could possibly wish for to be the state that leads America back to greatness. All we have to do is to actually believe in ourselves to do that again. And I believe we are in the middle of a second industrial revolution now. If it was Silicon Valley that led the way in the last 10 years, we're going to make sure it is the Ohio River Valley for the next 10 years. Done with the Rust Belt. We're not talking about the Rust Belt anymore. It's the Platinum Belt. And I'll tell you this tonight, too. This is my second time down to Portsmouth in the last several weeks. I'm not running to be the mayor of Greater Columbus. I'm running to be the governor of all of Ohio, and we will lift up every part of the state, north to south, east to west. That includes Appalachia, every part of it. We're leading the entirety of our state to the future. I'll level with you. As Frank told you, this is it's all just, not just candy and roses, okay? I'm going to be frank with you. It may not be the exact same sectors as the past the next time around. It may not be rubber production next time. But it's going to be the sectors of the future. from semiconductor production to other forms of advanced manufacturing, to powering our electric grid with natural gas and also nuclear energy, the energy of the future. From Bitcoin to biotech to our defense industrial base, the state where we use AI not to take jobs, but to make jobs through workforce training and education, and even education on how to use that technology, starting at a young age in our public schools across this state. That's where I want to lead Ohio. This is our modern-day Northwest Ordinance. We talked about starting the American Revolution. You know what preceded the Constitutional Convention after that was actually the Northwest Ordinance, written right here in Ohio. A group of Baptists came here to secure religious liberty and all the other freedoms that got enshrined in our Constitution right here in Ohio. This is our modern-day Northwest Ordinance. This is our moment in Ohio. We are a conservative state at our core. And I believe it's time for us to be governed like the conservative state we know we are. That's not going to lose us elections. That will win us elections because it's going to put more money in your pocket. It's going to put more money in your kids' bank accounts. It's going to lift up more people from poverty. It's going to revive our civic self-confidence in our young people, to give them that same gumption that Neil Armstrong and John Glenn had when they grew up in our state. It's going to make Ohio the state that patriots across this country flock to, not just Florida and Texas, but back here to Ohio, repatriating many of our kids and our grandkids who have gone to pursue the American dream somewhere else, to come back right here, close to their parents and their grandparents. That's my dream for Ohio, and we're not far away from achieving it. I do believe there's a time and place for different kinds of leaders, but I believe that now is a moment for a leader from the next generation to lead the next generation of Ohioans. Somebody who's going to run through any obstacle that stands in the way to do what is right for our state, to build on the foundation of the great accomplishments of those Republican administrations that have come before us. We have a great state legislature. Christina, you're doing a great job. One of our top state legislators, Christina Roedner, working on occupational licensing reform. I want to give her a round of applause. Stand up, Christina. She's running for state treasurer. She's going to be fantastic. And you all have laid a great foundation, but we're going to build on that foundation to lead the state to our future. I'm going to level with you on one of the problems in our state. It's a little uncomfortable to talk about, but we're going to talk about it tonight. We have a declining population in our state right now. It's uncomfortable to hear, but that's a hard truth. We have more people leaving our state than moving in. On that metric, Florida's number 1, Texas is number 2. Right now, we're number 38. We've got some work to do there. And you take a look at who's leaving the state. They tend to be younger, college-educated people. They tend to be people with skills who are leaving our state. People like Nick and his generation. Nick, I'm glad you're staying here. Well, what we got to do is keep those people. But the people moving into our state tend to, we love them, but they tend to be on government aid. That doesn't work for our state in the long run. So we're going to turn that ship around. And over the course of this campaign, every month, what we're going to do is lay out one way. We're going to drive a population boom in our state. 11 million people and declining today. It'll be 15 million and growing by the time I'm done as governor. And that starts with making Ohio, like Texas, the state where our friends are visiting from today. We will make Ohio a zero-income tax state on my watch. It is your money, not the government's. And you deserve to keep what you earn. But it's not just our income taxes. There'll be the property tax burden in this state, too. It's gotten unjustly high. It's gotten way too high, because if you're paying as much in your property taxes as you are on your principal and interest payments on your mortgage, then it sure starts to feel like the land that you own is really just a lease from the government. And that's unjust. It's wrong. It's un-American. It's antithetical to our values here in Ohio. And you have my word, as your next governor, we will put a ceiling on the property tax rate that can be charged, and ballot transparency that tells people what they're actually voting for when they're voting for those increases. Nobody knows about 20 mil floors, and nobody knows what the heck millage even is, really, right? And I think we deserve transparency when it comes to property tax reform, income tax reform, regulatory reform in this state. It's too much red tape. Frankly, I was meeting with a water treatment owner in the northwest part of the state. He owns water treatment plants in the neighboring state of Indiana. He said the permitting timeline in Indiana is 3 months. It's 3 years in Ohio. Natural gas pipelines. You go to Texas, it's 12-month permitting. It's 36 months on average. It should be 6 months or less. So I'll tell you, when I'm your next governor, For every new regulation they try to add on my watch, we will require they rescind at least 10 others before we even consider it. End the culture of red tape, bring back meritocracy, bring back an economic boom of a kind we haven't seen since the first industrial revolution, so we can build in this state. Build more homes to bring down the cost of housing. Bring more manufacturing plants in to actually hum our economy and our job market once again. Build small businesses that grow up to be big businesses. Build startups. Build new homes. Build a family. Build wealth. Build a life in the mold of the American dream. That is my dream for this state, so that we can once again be the state of energy dominance in America. The state of manufacturing dominance, the state of AI dominance, the state that leads America back into our future. It's not just about our GDP growth. It's not just about the green pieces of paper. It's about reviving our civic conviction and purpose in who we are. It's about a revival of our culture and identity. It's about making sure that we're no longer a state where little league teams have to shut down because they can't find a local company to sponsor them. Where a mom doesn't have to think twice before having a second or third or fourth kid for fear of the cost of a new stroller or buying a bigger car. A state where every parent has that bone-deep conviction that is your birthright as an American, that your kids will go on to live an even better life than you did. That is my dream for this state. Now, in order to be the state of economic excellence in America, there's a missing link. And we're going to have to confront it. We also have to be the state of educational excellence in America. And the truth is, I'll give you the truth. If you care about somebody, you give them the truth. If you care about yourself, you tell them what they want to hear. I'm going to give you the truth. The truth is we're in the middle of an educational achievement crisis in America right now. 75% of 8th graders across the country, not just Ohio, 75% of 8th graders are not proficient in math. There's kids in other countries where now English is not their first language, doing better on English proficiency than our own students here. Kids in China are on average 4 years ahead of the average student here. That means a 7th grader here is performing at the equivalent of a 3rd grade student in China. That's unacceptable to me. I knew it would have been unacceptable to Rodney Barnett. I know it's unacceptable to every parent in this room. When we speak as an Ohioan and as an American, when I say I will lead Ohio to be the top state in the country, and I hope in the world, to give our kids a world-class education in the foundational subjects of math, reading, writing, financial literacy, civic education, physical education, to give our kids what they deserve growing up in this state. To get there, we got to go the full distance. Texas did it this week. Iowa's done it. Arizona's done it. We're going to go full universal school choice in the state of Ohio, where even homeschooling is a viable option for the parents who desire it. That's the basic thing we got to start with in our state. But I'll also be honest with you. There are parts of our state, many of you know this, where those choices don't even exist if we did have full universal school choice. And that means we have no choice but to make sure that our public schools are also equipped to compete with the best of those alternatives. We have a major problem with chronic absenteeism in this state. It's only gotten worse since the COVID-19 school closures. Since the COVID-19 school closures, we have 25% absenteeism rates in many parts of this state. I'll start with the basics. I'll pledge this as your next governor, that never again will we bend the knee to a fake Anthony Fauci who allowed our public schools to be closed while our private schools remain open. She owes our kids an apology. She's my opponent in this race, and with your help, we're going to beat her by 40-plus points next year in a landslide in 2026 and send Amy Acton packing so she has no place near the government of Ohio again. That's just table stakes, but we're going to go further than that. We're going to go further than that to stand for the achievement of our students in every domain, from the sports fields to the classroom. We will stand for the excellence of our students. And that means, and this is a tough one for us as Republicans to catch up to, but I'll give you what I think. I think that our public school teachers right now, when they're paid $40,000 a year as their starting salary, I don't think it's possible to live the American dream on that starting salary today. I think our public school teachers, the best ones, deserve to be paid a lot more, actually, than they are right now. But it's got to be tied to performance as well. I want every public school teacher to be able to live the American dream in the state. If we're in the middle of an educational achievement crisis, our teachers are like our first responders, but we're not getting the very best anymore. I'm a product of public education in this state. I went to Princeton Public Schools in Cincinnati through 8th grade. I then went to St. X High School, St. Xavier in Cincinnati after that. But I had a teacher in 6th grade, Mrs. Kinney, who lit a fire under my feet. She saw potential in me that I didn't know I had. And she caused me to work harder. She changed my life for the better. She helped me live the American dream. I want more teachers like Mrs. Kinney, but we got to be able to reward them tied to the performance. It's not just teaching to a test. Peer assessments in the schools, teachers who are collaborating and who are carrying their weight, creates an incentive for cooperation. Parents who are able to assess whether their kids are thriving in the classroom. It's not just rich versus poor districts being compared like apples and oranges. No, measuring improvement in every classroom. We have to lead in the ways of the future, in math, reading, writing, and physical education too. We're going to bring back physical education, PE in kindergarten. We're going to bring back the presidential fitness test. Frankly, I don't know why we got rid of it in the first place. Serve healthier food in cafeteria. The best way to save on healthcare costs in the long run is actually to have a healthier population in the first place. That starts at a young age. Not just physical health, but mental health too. There's a mental health epidemic that has ravaged our state, our region, and our country for far too long. The cycle of depression, anxiety, fentanyl, suicide, opioid addiction has festered across this region for far too long. We're going to put an end to it by standing for what is right, what is true, starting at a young age. Individual, family, nation, and God beats race, gender, sexuality, and climate. If we have the courage to stand for what is right, to stand for what is true in our state. As we did tonight, say the Pledge of Allegiance every morning in every Ohio public school with a moment of silence to go along with it. Get the cell phones out of the public schools. There's no reason for cell phones in the classroom, baiting our kids into the cycle of ADD and Ritalin treatment. That isn't helping them, but just baiting them into that cycle even further. Replace the woke indoctrination and victimhood psychology with actual civics lessons, actual U.S. history lessons that teach our kids to be proud of our country and our state rather than to be ashamed of it. That comes with some tough love. It comes with some higher standards. Yeah. Betty, that's Nick's grandma. You remembered this tonight when we were chatting beforehand at the table. I was honored, Betty. And I'll give you my word again tonight. We're going to do it in the state of Ohio, where every public school, high school senior will be required to pass the same civics test that every legal immigrant has to pass before they become a naturalized citizen. You got to know something about your country, to be proud of your country, to love your country. And that reform of K through 12 education then lays the foundation for reforming higher education in this state as well. And let me be clear. I want Ohio to have the best four-year universities in the country for every son and daughter of our state who wants to become a doctor or a CEO or a computer programmer. Look, my path to the American dream ran through a four-year degree for me. I went to Harvard, I went to Yale. I mean, those universities, they certainly were at the time. They've lost their way a bit, but were great universities I was proud to be able to go to. But the education I got in this state to give me the foundation to do it. My wife, Apurva, who's a throat surgeon at the James, the cancer hospital at Ohio State. She was actually slated to see Rodney the day before he passed. And she was going to see him, and when we got the sad news. She's a great throat cancer surgeon. She's at Ohio State. She's lived the American dream. Her path went through a four-year college education. We're proud of our path. But I also recognize that my path cannot be and must not be the only path either. I also want our state to be the top state in the country where every son and daughter of Ohio who wants to become a welder or a mechanic or an electrician or a lineman or a machine operator or a programmer of video games. I want to stand up. Eric Braun, give this man a round of applause. Leading Maumee State University, not just in four-year college degrees, but vocational education as well. Doing it right here, a model for our state. Mr. President, you're doing a great job right here. I also want us to be the state where every son and daughter who goes through Maumee State, who goes through vocational education in high school, also has his path and her path to the American dream. It's not just that one of these paths is more or less elite than the other. They're all elite. That's the way I look at it. Get the occupational licensing requirements out of the way. Integrate earn while you learn programs as early as high school so we can give those young men and women, especially some of those young men, let's be honest about that self-confidence to say that if 4-year college education isn't for me, I can still find my skill set, put some money in my pocket, gain that self-confidence. Rather than so many of them who we let go the cycle of what? Sitting in your parents' basement, playing video games, smoking pot, planning for a career on government aid. No. That's not compassion, that is cruelty. True compassion is giving somebody a path to independence from the government, not greater dependence on it. Giving that sense of civic confidence and self-pride that every son and daughter of our state deserves. That is what a true meritocracy is about. That is what this nation was built on. We were built on the idea of a meritocracy. A nation that recognized that every one of us, every one of you, every one of our children has your own unique God-given gift, distinct from every other person in the world, actually. And that we are the country where you get to make the most of your own unique God-given gift without any man or system or government or bureaucracy standing in your way. That is the American dream. That is what made America great the first time. That is how we will make Ohio great again. This isn't just about lifting up our economic numbers. It's about the revival of the true American dream, a conviction in our purpose as citizens. The state where our young people aren't spiteful or envious of somebody else's success through capitalism, because they're participating in it with real skin in the game themselves. That's my message to my 2 sons. My 5-year-old Karthik and my 2-year-old Arjun, who I was with earlier tonight, and I'll be with them hopefully later tonight, if not tomorrow morning. That's my message to the 2 of them, my 2 sons and your sons and daughters too, that this is the state where your American dream is your birthright, where success is your birthright, where a world-class education is your birthright. Freedom is our heritage in this state, and if we embrace that, excellence will be our destiny. This is not a humble vision for our state, I will confess that. It is an ambitious vision. But I believe that is who we really are as Ohioans and as Americans. We're not victims, we're victors. We don't whine, we win. When we rally behind the cry to make America great again, that is what we hunger for. The unapologetic pursuit of excellence in America, that's what we're bringing to Ohio. I've lived the American dream. My parents never imagined the life that we've lived was the life they imagined possible when they came to this country 45 years ago with no money to Cincinnati, with nothing to their name. I will fight every day for that American dream to pass it on to my kids and to yours. We will fight every day for this state. We're going to visit all 88 counties. This year, we're visiting all 88 counties. Next year, I will visit all 88 counties every one of the 8 years. I hopefully serve as your next governor if you give me that honor. We don't want to govern from a bubble. I want to listen to you. I want to listen to every Ohioan in every part of this state. Not just the people in this room, but frankly, the people who aren't in this room too. Last night we were in Coshocton, had a great discussion with a group of protesters out there, and ended up with some surprisingly good dialogue. They were kind of the earnest kind. I wanted to talk to the protesters tonight, but I think I hit there 5 o'clock. They were off the clock by the time that I asked the officers. They said they'd already dispersed. That's how you can tell the ones who are actually real, the ones who are paid versus the other ones. My advice to some of these people who are cutting the checks is if you're going to do the protester thing, at least pay a little overtime, okay? Practice what you preach, or otherwise these people, they leave a little early. But there's a woman I met last night who was in a different situation. She was earnest. She left early, but she told me the reason why. She was going to Mass at 7 o'clock. She almost apologized for it. I said, you don't have to apologize for that. She was a woman who suffered from Parkinson's disease, who was worried she couldn't make payments at her nursing home that she thought she was actually going to be living in very shortly. I told her my mom worked in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the nursing homes of Southwest Ohio, and I used to accompany her as a kid because my dad was facing down layoffs at the GE plant in Evendale, Ohio. And I want us to be a state where no elder and no child has to think twice before their financial security, because we have such economic success in our state that you don't have to think twice about whether your Medicaid is actually coming through. And we ended last night, actually, the two of us with an embrace. I gave her a hug before she went off to church. It's not just the people in this room we want to lead. We want to lead the entire state. And frankly, that's my message for everybody who isn't in this room. If you care about economic excellence in Ohio, if you care about bringing back a manufacturing and industrial boom to our state, if you care about giving your kids a world-class education, if you care about giving your kids the same shot at the American dream that this state gave to me, then we're actually on the same team. We have a seat for you at the table in this movement, and we will work with you to lead our state to the next level. We don't have to be a state in decline. We don't have to be a region in decline. We don't have to be a nation in decline. I believe we are still a nation, a state in our ascent. That includes Scioto County, includes every part of this state. I believe we're still on our way up, still on our way to that shining city on a hill. That country, that state where we will look our kids in the eye and mean it when we tell them that you get ahead in the United States of America, and you get ahead in the state of Ohio with your own hard work, your own commitment, your own dedication. And that you know what? You are free to speak your mind at every step of the way. That is the American dream that we're fighting for. That is what we are running to. So that 10 years from now, when we're sending manned rockets to Mars, when we're powering our electric grid with nuclear energy, when we're curing previously incurable forms of diseases with cures discovered right here in Ohio, you know what our young people are going to say then? Only in Ohio. Our state's best days are still ahead of us, and with your help, we're going to get there, Scioto County. Thank you for coming out tonight, guys. God bless you and your families, and may God bless our United States of America. Keep fighting. Fight, fight, fight. Our country is worth saving, and we will, and may Ohio's best days still be ahead. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.